Welcome back to the LCO.
The wrong way.
Microcosm.
Game 2. Microcosm. Gnar. All of the great
Thanks, Tim.
wake
Evolve.
quotes coming
Get
out
it?
of Tim. Yep. I'm glad that exists. Now, look, Tim, I hope you're watching. I hope you enjoyed that one. And everyone else watching is probably a fan, and we want to hear from you guys as well. From the fans' time, you guys sent in some sick content at LCO on Twitter if you want to get involved in the conversation. We asked, what is your favourite part about Season 13 so far? And we've only got one response about that. That's Darian Taris, our good friend on Twitter and in Twitch chat. My favourite thing about Season 13 is Nashor's tooth over the protein shake Diana. I want to agree. But the protein shake just makes sense, doesn't it, Rusty?
That upside-down smile means that I don't think he's being serious.
Aha.
I think it's not his favorite thing. I think he followed our initiative by accident and said something that he doesn't like.
Well, we've set the precedent, haven't we? Now, look, we've got one
No, I
more
would
to
do
have a
that.
quick look at as well. It's actually a prediction coming in from Mark Savine, a good
Based.
friend Mark. Based at Pentanet GG are my prediction to win the LCO game. Very true. That was, well, I think it came in after the game, Insane Games from the boys. So, you know.
That's very fair. I mean, the way that we've seen them play so far in the last 2 games, they are, I would say, a top 2 favourite to win the LCO this whole split.
So it's a prediction for the split?
Yeah, that's his
Ah.
prediction for the split.
Yep.
Okay, that's what's going on. Well,
I'm a
Mark
believer
Savine,
since
thank you
day
very
one.
much. And if you guys want to get involved in the conversation at LCO on Twitter, send in the content, the goods, the predictions, the whatever you want, really. But also what you think of Season 13. What I think is we got to talk about Chiefs. We got to talk about Ground Zero. Let's see who we're going to be looking at first. It's GZ. We got Emphis in mid, Gooby in the jungle, Tron up top, just absolutely pumping. And we got Dante and Bulldog, the deadly NZ duo down in the bot lane. Kitty, what can this team do today to have a better affair than yesterday?
Look, I think GZ definitely has a lot of potential when it comes to their individual skill, but something went wrong last night where I think it was just the draft being not good into PG specific comp, where we had the Radiant Virtue on Emphasis Karma mid lane and it wasn't doing as well as expected because this entire comp is built around Dante, and like Rusty said, the entire GZ team is kind of built around Dante, but if your bot lane is constantly behind, then that becomes very boring for the later games. Dante, we have seen him be extremely explosive in certain games. Also, a little bit of a troll at times, but if he gets the character development that he needs for 2023, I see him being a star.
I was going to say as well, you know Gooby as well as I do. He'll play Graves. He doesn't need to be the Wukong. If they're going to pick Karma mid, they should probably prioritize picking that Graves for Gooby as well, so that they're much more comfortable and have a comp that, in my mind, makes way more sense.
I really do enjoy a little bit of Graves in the jungle, so I hope that happens once we get to Champ Select. But we've got to talk about the other team, the Chiefs. If you guys don't know them, I don't know what world you're living in, but it's not Oceania, the world of Oceania, of course. We got Kisei in mid, who put on a spectacular performance yesterday, and it's really set the precedent as well for how Chiefs are going to operate in 2023.
Certainly did. And I mean, honestly, the perfect Cassidy game. Really couldn't fault him whatsoever. Baba, welcome introduction back into his playing days. And I think Biopanther's coming for the title as the best top laner in the league once again, right? With the departure of Tapoon, you'd say that's a big boot to fill, but obviously he is at that caliber already. He has such a flexible champion pool. Showcased to K'Sante and said, look, I'm going to absolutely gap you lived in these team fights. And yeah, it was a spectacle to behold. So, you know, as dominant as PGG have been, you're thinking Chiefs, no doubt, are watching those games and thinking, all right, you think you guys are the favorites. We're going to show you why a lot of us are putting them in first.
I also really like how the new Chiefs it's not all about Raze anymore. It's not the Raze show. We have Kisei available, and he really shined with that Cassidy pick from last night's performance, and it's just refreshing. Chiefs is no longer a one-man carry. Although Tapoon was extremely stable every single game, he just didn't have that. Well, he did have a spark, but he doesn't have like a drop 20 kill type of spark to him. I'm sorry, Jahoon. I miss you dearly.
He had his moments, didn't he? It was the solo kill machine, and there was moments with like 1v3, I think, that time last year. But yeah, I mean,
It's just refreshing to have a mid laner.
It's nice.
That is a hard carry on a team identity.
Yeah, yeah.
Not that Tally was by any means bad, but like to be raised now, you've got a mid laner that can go 12-0 play the Cassidy, right, with a level of consistency.
Yeah.
And that's true for more teams in the league than just the Chiefs. Like Dial was looking at them. I think it's exciting for Praetor and Deco to have a Chaz, right, to play mid lane, because there's now just way more carries playing mid in the LCO, which is amazing for the whole region's strength.
We did have a bit of a mid chap last year, didn't we? It's like the mid game wasn't super strong in terms of those carries. It was also everyone was playing those sort of supportive roles, or like just sitting back, like weak side
I think also
mid.
mid pool was just kind of like the depth of mid talent last year was just worse.
Yeah,
and I think
that was the mid chap I was trying to. Anyway, I won't say that word.
And it
again.
is
Sorry,
improved
guys.
now.
Just call me Carbon. But look, we got a little bit of a conversation to have as to how is Ground Zero going to win this game if they win this game.
I want to see early aggression. I think this was a pitfall that we got a little bit upset about this time last year, where we saw some of the lower ranked teams fall into the prey of let's just draft for scaling and pray it works out. I think we've always been a big advocate that if you're going to lose quickly, but at least have some way to be aggressive in the early game, right? So be it champions like the Caitlyn, like the Varus, anything that has very cheap item spikes, there's a lot of high base damage, as opposed to a comp where it's like it's Dante or whoever it may be against the world with a hyperscaler champion. I mean, it's fun and it can work, but up against a really well-drilled team, they're going to punish you.
Well, there's one man that knows how to drill a few people in the league, and we saw it in a little content piece on Twitter the other day, and we got him here for an interview as well. It's the dog. He is back to tell us what's going on. What's going on, big man?
What's going on? We're chilling, we're vibing. You know, it's only up from here. How's your guys' evening going?
Oh, we're getting interviewed now. I'm feeling great, but let's talk about your schedule so far. So, of course, you versed PGG last night, and you're up against the Chiefs for today. So, what was kind of the team's, how was the team feeling after not the most impressive results?
We for sure got like a lot of learning from that game, so we'll take that as value. But today we're ready to clap some hands.
Beautiful. Applaud yourselves or the enemy, whoever wins. It's great sportsmanship, Bulldog. Now, tell me, how's this bot lane working with the rest of the team? Who's doing the calling? Are you doing the shot calling? Because that video made it look like you were the big authority in the team.
I mean, I'm pretty sure on yesterday's broadcast, I heard that you're wondering who would be the next Draku for Chiefs. But I think Bulldog's going to come in and take that crown and mog everyone.
He's going to take that cake and mug everyone. And I guess you have a lot of new additions to the team with Emphas and Gooby joining the league for 2023. So tell us a little bit more about these fresh faces on Ground Zero.
I mean, I'll say if they look bad on stage, it's probably my fault because I've got a lot more experience than them. So if I'm not teaching them, then what am I doing?
You're mugging them.
I'm mogging them. Yeah, that's the plan at least. Well, hopefully the mogging happens today. Hopefully it works well for you. But we'll let you go, Bulldog. Get ready for the game.
All right, see you guys later.
He's stretching.
He's chilling.
Chill, yeah.
He's
getting
just
ready.
vibing, man.
Living his best life.
Yeah.
I felt like he's either taking more authority now or there's like that little bit less confidence. Because every other interview we had with him is that little bit louder.
Yeah, I mean, he was saying it in that interview, right? Like, he's responsible for more of the team now in terms of, like, communication and, like, development and growth. And he feels like he's failing if they're failing because he's not taught them what they need to know. So I think that's a point of responsibility he's taken on,
Also, the draw for Ground Zero has been pretty solid for the start of this round robin. But let's see who got the coin flip and what side we're picking for this game. Chiefs pick red side. Worked for him yesterday. It is maybe going to work for him again today. What are we thinking in terms of chances? Because if we go to predictions in a moment, I'm sure we're all going to be on the same page.
It's probably going to look quite blue.
I'm going 90-10 Chiefs.
90-10 Chiefs. Well, let's see if the Dare fan vote reflects that one. Of course, get your Twitch points in. Let us know what you think is going to happen in this game with your Twitch points, and then also type it in Twitch chat, and I'll read it. I reckon.
Where do you go, Kitty?
I might.
Right there, guys.
Buttons up there.
Down there.
Custom
up there,
amounts
down
only.
There.
None of this, just
Up
10
and down.
points. Unless you only have 10 points, then put them on. Put every point you have on it, please. We've all gone for Chiefs. We've got those big shields for our predictions. For the most part, I won't speak for Max. I will speak for Max. There you go. He's gone Chiefs as well. And I'm the only one that's copped an L so far. Twitch chat's even beaten me. That's sad. I'm sad.
There will be some deviations in the next game, I believe, for predictions. So that's something, like in regards to predictions specifically, to look forward to. A bit more spice, but this is, again, one of those games where you've seen now what Pensanet can do in week 1. You're expecting the Chiefs to show just as much skill in how they pick apart their opponents, right? That's what you're looking for the Chiefs. For Ground Zero, you are looking for signs of fighting, for signs of life, and to put in a good showing and really prove that they are here to play and, you know, step up to the big dogs in the Chiefs.
Well, so far, I think that PGG look more coordinated than the Chiefs from the one game we've seen so far. But this is Chiefs' turn to show just how convincingly they can beat one of these teams that we're expecting to be a bit lower on the leaderboard. For you guys, of course, my power
where did
rankings.
you have them again?
Somewhere.
Oh,
I'll go check for you. We got to go to the green room. But Champ Select's ready. Let's jump on into game number 2.
Let's do just that. What happens? A bit of a trial by fire, really, for Ground Zero here, as they do go up against the favourites in the league. But for the side of Chiefs, red side for them, get to see what they can do as a response. They've actually banned away to Karma, so no chance for them to go for that double support pick if they want to enable it, and remove the Caitlyn too.
Yeah, Caitlyn Karma taking off. Ash going to follow as well. So Zeri Lucian, again, you know, something we said at the start of the day. I would like to see more Lucians banned. Is still going to be up and available. But like you're seeing with this first pick here from Ground Zero Gaming, the Maokai is up. So very easy lock-in for them as their first pick goes towards Gooby, you would expect in the jungle role. We've been seeing a lot of Demonic Embrace AP Maokai, which is honestly the most annoying thing that you could possibly imagine. Whenever you deal with it, you walk into a bush. Well, he was there 30 seconds ago. Well, the sapling's taken 400 HP, your life away.
Yeah, empowered obviously by the bush as well. And it'd been 100% banned coming into today, right? We'd seen it, see a fair bit of play around the world and highly strong in the jungle department right now. So it makes sense that if it is up and available, then you would just go for that as a first pick. The response, it seems like a foregone conclusion at this point. If Lucian Army is there, you'd be crazy not to lock it in. And that's exactly what the Chiefs are going to do. But this is looking exciting, right? The Caitlyn's been denied away. They're going to go for the Varus. They want that hard engage. You got that. You got Maokai. You got a pretty reliable way to try and start things up. And if you are to withstand the pressure that Chiefs put your way, you got a lot of CC to try and flip it back at them.
And I like this as well. So Ryze banned, Syndra picked, Kassadin gone, and the Syndra pick means that Syndra is actually one of the better options in mid lane right now to be blind picked, to be blindly locked in. Still some options exist, of course, for Kisei. You know what he's capable of playing, right? A full wealth of mid lane champions. But, and this is interesting because yesterday we saw a Jarvan pick and I was very quick to say I don't like it. There is, in theory, a much better Jarvan pick in this game because both carries have been shown and both of them have no mobility.
And you can fully understand why Bebeb is umming and ahhing about it, right? Do I want a singular lockdown with the Vi, or do I actually want to punish the fact that they have no mobility without a flash? And the Cataclysm does exactly that. So it makes a lot of sense, right? This is a classic champion in Bebeb's arsenal, so I'm excited to see it back in action once again. The Heimerdinger now going to be banned away in the second rotation. Just such an annoying champion. What a funny time it is that we are really living in Beryl's world.
Yes, it certainly is. One hell of a champion to deal with, and how dare he pick it during Worlds to just make sure that everyone ever started playing it. Ashe also one of those nuisances. Jhin we've been seeing a fair chunk of, and the theory behind Jhin is usually into the Heimerdinger, not so much into a Lucian Nami. Varus, I think, opens up a fair amount of flexibility. We've seen a decent amount of just AD-based Varuses. You can go lethality, which is, I still think, the staple.
I think it is still for the most part like the Arcane Comet version.
Yeah, because Comet lethality outranges the Lucian.
Yeah.
You can more passively sit back, which frees up the support pick to be so much more flexible that you could even consider, picking it later in the draft, which is what you are seeing. You get to see the enemy composition before you make a decision. Is there something that now helps them get out of a Jarvan ultimate? Thresh is a champion that has a lantern for them. So in theory, Thresh helps the comp, right? Is also in theory good into Nami. Now Thresh isn't in the best position right now. You're not seeing many of them because that's not an enchanter. And I feel like I'm saying illegal words, not saying an enchanter.
Yep.
But as an example, that's something that could be done.
It could be. And we've certainly seen it have a worthwhile time in the right circumstances. Well, there you have it. Kisei is going to say it was blind picked into me last night. I'm going to blind pick it, or rather, I'm going to respond with it in this occasion too. So it's exciting to see. This is one of the big staples behind Kisei's gameplay, right? He has a big champion pool as well, but he loves the assassins, and his Akali is right up there.
I'm very interested to see what Ground Zero pick for their top laner here for Tron, because this is blind. Biopanthers there. Cassante, I feel like, is a free choice. And then the flexibility in the support role comes through, and to no one's surprise, it's actually an enchanter. No matter how many reasons I give for a not enchanter to be good, they're not an enchanter. So why would we pick that?
Why would I Lantern if I can just give them a gigantic shield and health bar?
Yeah,
That
why
seems to
get
be-
them out of the Jarvan's ultimate next to 2 assassins and a close range AD? Polymorph,
Yeah,
Glitter Lance.
just stand and deliver. Withstand the pressure and throw it right back at them. Cassante going to be the response, and I'm really curious now to see what it is that Biopanther cooks up as a response to this one, right? He played it in his debut game here for the start of the new season. He is a proficient Jax player as well. Would that be his response, or would he go back to the old school, which is those tanks?
Which can kind of work, right? If he really wanted to, he could. Gwen has utility. While we're just going through some hover champions, Gwen can work into the Maokai ultimate really nicely to disengage, but Cassante will still be able to stay on top of you and cover that distance fine. Renekton actually going to be the choice. Now, Lulu's shield-based champion, Cassante also has those shields as well when he's able to dash around. So
Yep.
I feel like that can have some utility in that respect. That's one of the reasons I always look at why Renekton will be picked. And because Varus is not a mobile champion, Syndra's only utility to stop a Renekton from getting onto you is the stun, which means she can't be aggressive if she's using it defensively. It means that Renekton on flanks is super dangerous in this game.
And subconsciously, it changes how it's going to be for Infis to really approach these team fights, these skirmishes in general. If you can't play aggressively, he's always holding it as a protection option. I think really for me, what we have for the side of Chiefs screams early game aggression. You've got a Renekton Jarvan, obviously you've got a Lucian Nami. This is them saying 25 minutes, you thought that was fast. Watch this. I'm really excited to see what they can do. But I like what Ground Zero have thrown as a response, right? Their bans were targeted, they were calculated. And to me, it just gives them a lot more ability to try and lay a punch first as well.
And we'll see how big Tronny's able to go with the pressure, because Biopanther was also roaming faster.
Yeah.
Roaming more successfully yesterday in what we saw. Lucian Nami is going to start out of the gate strong, obviously. The Akali would like level 6. Syndra is still. So for anyone who hasn't played Syndra since the changes, she's a bit more of a scaling pick in mid lane. The old Syndra was level 1, just Q-spam your face and miserable. If you're a melee champion, predictably going for last hits, miserable. A
Yep.
little bit less damage, but double the charges with the Q. You know, stuff like that. So a bit more scaling overall is all you really need to know. So there's a bit more freedom for someone like Kisei to play this Akali. Perhaps it's a Doran shield to get through a little bit less poke that exists and just hit level 6 running.
Certainly would be the key takeaway, right, is to be as strong as possible, as early as possible, to try and withstand what the Chiefs are going to be throwing your way in the early game. If we see a similar setup to what we saw in game number 1, it could be a little bit of a disaster. The snowballing effect may take place and really balloon out of control once more. What are you really looking towards in terms of a lane that you'd like to see really hold its own or be the driving force, I suppose, more than anything for Ground Zero?
I think, well, first of all, for holding its own, the Varus Lulu is a big place to look at. I do think that Bulldog and Dante, who stepped up to the plate in day 1, got some solo kills down there in the 2v2 against Violet and Appy, still have some big shoes to fill in this game for their team as well. As Gooby is just surprisingly missing a chunk of HP and some summoner spells are gone. Simius, that seems like we missed a very early level 1 fight. But we are into the game and it seems like no one has died at the very least. But with that in mind, Alidoric raised no flashes, so it seems like it was a bot lane cheese. And a fact that Gooby started Q is a sign of that.
Certainly is the case. You know, you'd love to have that seedling if possible. Really get your camp clears beginning on the strongest foot. But he will be there for a cheeky leash from his solo laner. So business as usual, but it will be a bot lane again. I mean, this is how Ray started off that game yesterday, right? Getting the solo kill into Why Not, came to bot lane, and then it was a bit of a rough start for them.
So quick point out here as well, because bot lane obviously is going to be a factor beyond just the summoner spells. Bulldog started Q, so he's going to be hard harassing with Q spam and auto attacks. He could choose to push waves with that as well. That is something that the shield doesn't have in regards to utility. It is also a bubble start from Alidoric, which I think is a clear sign of the fight that happened at level 1, right? That was just to create space to survive. That means no W, no sustain, no equal trading with the Lulu.
Yep.
So Bulldog outright wins the level 1 transaction, which means that the Varus and the Lulu will have push, will have health advantage, and will have control overall. So level 2 going to be really important for the Chiefs and how they survive down there, even more so than the previous Nami Lucians that you see. This
Absolutely.
is just dangerous early.
Varus and Lulu do a lot of damage early on, and deceptively strong. You talk about how good a Lucian Nami is, but they can certainly pack a punch as well. So we'll see what they can do with this rare reprieve in the bot lane to try and find an advantage.
and painful to be pushed under turret. If you're ever against a Varus and a Lulu, if you ever get pushed under turret, you get locked to the left side of the tower for the Chiefs in this case, right? Not the right side, because that's just an alleyway that a Varus will hit the piercing arrow and it will always connect.
Yeah.
If you stay on the left side, however, there's a Lulu that can hit you for free with EQs, and there's Varus's E that he can throw down with the hail of arrows. There's no safe space if you are pushed under your turret. And that is because the map gets so constricted that you don't get to move forwards and backwards and find any points that are going to protect you. As Gooby just missed that ward. Wow, that was like 1 unit off.
Honestly,
Twice.
the perfect placement. Yeah, the great read. Not going to reveal it again, so fully on vision. Babip has great tracking of it. Easy idea, really, then, for Babip, Raze and Aladoric to respond as to the amount of pressure that is coming towards them. But health and mana will be expended pretty freely. Try and wrestle back some form of control here.
Yeah, 8 odd CS in favor of Dante and Bulldog, and recalls are going to be seen pretty soon. It seems like they want to go back to base. That's the victory that they have been awarded from the level 1 play, whatever it was. Mid lane seems to be going pretty well overall for the Syndra, as you would expect, but Akali doesn't need to do anything crazy. Raze dashes forwards. Dante, while he is out of mana, has biscuits because we've just crested over the 4-minute mark. So Bulldog also trying to play out of vision there, sneak into the bush. They might dash forwards thinking Dante's alone. There's actually 2 reinforcements nearby. And that ward stonks. Spotted Gooby again.
Unlimited value.
He's just saw the ward die. If he's looking at his own persons, not the bot lane, he just saw the ward die in front of his space. He just got spat on by that ward. You miss me?
Tell you what, the amount of value you found with that ward is undeniable, but it's not been enough to actually prevent death from potentially taking place. Here he dashes in for the first kill with that relentless pursuit, but gets Polymorph, gets the kill just before Dante can answer back. As Dante with a double kill, it's the absolute dream. He survives. He just walks out of harm's way. Gooby bramble smashes Babbitt back. He says, please, just give me a chance. Babbitt waiting for that EQ. Oh, he pierces him with the javelin.
Oh, you'd feel hard done by with that Q connecting there for the javelin. He used Twisted Advance. He disappeared underneath the ground. Should be untargetable, but
he wishes he could iframe that one.
He certainly wishes he could. He should have been able to, but he goes down. Double kill from Dante is huge. Like, very much akin to yesterday's Ground Zero start.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bot lane going very well for the Varus, going very well for the Lulu. And the product of that, the fruits of their labor, is where things started to go wrong. You know, there was jungle invades, Gooby started struggling. Even though he's been spotted twice, he's still been able to find the dive and get active. And one of the better flashes that I have seen so far from Dante, pixel perfect to get out of turret aggro, or he was dead during that transaction.
Let's say kudos to Bulldog there. Beautiful whimsy to start things off. As you can see, Raze went for the offensive, knowing that the gank was coming in. Denied him from finding much more than just that.
Doesn't know.
Uh-oh, it's a surprise bush party. Flag and drag into our bubble into an easy kill. A beautiful shot down, and that's what you need if you're Raze right now.
Yeah, unfortunately it gets baited in by that ward. The control ward doesn't reveal anyone in the bush, just reveals it as a control ward there. And oversteps his reach, and suddenly that 2-0, the flash being missing, gets punished with no hesitation, means a Drake's going to be available. And just when you think you've found an advantage, you realize Chiefs do not take their foot off the gas. And they pick you off before you even get a chance to think about what's next.
And it almost is reminiscent, if I remember correctly, when Dante and Bulldog were playing for Direwolves last year. I think they're playing the Zeri matchup. They're doing, what, it was like 4 kills into the Chiefs with Raze and Aladoric, and it just started to all come unstuck by the 15-minute mark onwards. The mid-game control, the real ability started to claw their way back into this one, as Gooby's going to go straight into mid lane there. Twisted advanced in. Babbitt waiting in the wings, going to be a little bit too late. The Shroud, the flash, the disengage away! Oh, how's he lived? 50 HP! Kisei, an absolute madman there. And G2, or rather GC.
G2!
They have to feel so hard done by.
Can't believe Caps didn't get the kill there.
They wish they were G2, don't they?
I mean, I think that's, in a weird way, getting gapped by not having Ignite. You do want to run the teleport for sure, but end of the day, it looked like it was one auto attack away, but Kisei healed so much, what feels like a Doran Shield and a potion that we're chugging, that it wasn't one auto, it was actually 2 away from getting the kill, and it's not an Airy or a Comet Syndra, it's first strike, and so if you don't get that kill initially, you actually do lose out on a bit of follow-up damage. And Kisei able to limp away, use the flash to cover enough distance. Yeah, Carly survives. And this is cute from the Chiefs. Babip's nearby, you know, the kills that just happened in mid lane. He exited bot side. Ground Zero don't know where Babip is. Blue buff's about to be up. You know he's on this side of the map still. Is he in the bush? Because last time I died. You know, they're really playing the mind games now.
Certainly are. The posturing is causing a bit of a headache so far. But how do you want to try and posture in this one? Piercing arrows coming through thick and fast to try and lay down some harass, but also just keep up with the CS lead that Dante's managed to find so far.
Extremely cheeky for what reason? Because he can.
Because he can, absolutely.
Flaunts those mechanics.
He's a man in form.
Also did rush the Sork shoe, so looking for some early trades, some early damage. First Drake goes the way. The Chief's Herald is thereby the sole objective for 3 minutes, which does mean that Babip pathing from his blue buff towards topside could be a point that they look at. Biopanther will see if he wants to bounce and crash a wave, or if he's just going to come over. You know, thinking back to last year's LCO, Bio was one of the best at prepping for the Rift Herald. But Gooby very much vigilant of the fact that Babip will be coming to this side of the map at the least. He's actually going to kick this one off. And I tell you what, he is love 30 against wards.
Certainly is losing the game of vision.
Really struggling to wards.
They've not been too kind to him.
You know, there's an ongoing theme every time I've tuned into Gooby's stream, within 10 seconds of saying hi, he's entered. Fun fact.
The pressure a little bit too much. The road goes out, actually catches him on the disengage. There is Babip. As Bio goes in with the flash ult! He wants to try and find a kill. He wants to try and find a target. The Dragon, rather, the Herald is still there. Actually gets taken by Kissei. The eye in the sky is picked up for free. He's claimed a double, a kill. And a dash in for the executioner. Shrouded, disengaged this time. Can he still survive? He's still living. A double kill again. Kissei really is in the form of his life so far. And he can do no wrong.
Another fantastic trade, and somehow the Herald, no smite for Gooby. Raises the question on where that was used. Wasn't paying attention if those smites were available or not, but it very clearly was the case. 500 HP on a Herald, and it becomes a flip.
Oh, the dodge as well.
Fighting for his absolute life right there as the Herald charge is confirmed, but that means Herald for the Chiefs. Fight for the Chiefs. That's happened twice in a row now. Gets out by the skin of his teeth. And they start to snowball, steadily finding leads.
2K lead as it stands so far here. Still a lot of pain and punishment with waves constantly crashing into the side of the Chiefs duo. Let's run it back with this team fight once again because it all starts with that flash engage.
Yeah, so again, no smite there for the Maokai. He's dealing with Biopamp. The Syndra throws everything at Babip. Emphas tries to get another one combo but doesn't have enough damage for lethal just yet. And Tron again, you know, in the Shroud, was finding his mark, was finding the angles. Dante, 0 HP as we come out of the replay. But when all was said and done, the fact that Ground Zero put damage down but couldn't convert into a single kill means that the Chiefs were still there to apply damage, and that came back to hurt them big time.
It certainly did. I feel like they were stunned by the fact that Chiefs still entertained the idea with the Nature's Grasp coming out there from Gooby acting as a zone defense. Babip forced to run away. Little did they anticipate that Biopanther was keen with the Dominus Active just to flash on in and find his moment to shine.
That's a percentage from the Dare fan vote.
Yeah.
Damn.
Based on what we saw from PGG just then, I think 90-10 felt like a fair assessment. Scuttler stolen away there by Babip. And right on time as well, with the river really do belonging to them. A lot of vision planted on either side from top to bottom, as you can see the observers highlighting. Second Dragon up for grabs.
One of the other changes with Syndra, by the way, is that you do kind of level your abilities in the natural order now. You don't go Q into E. Usually you go Q into W just because it evolves first, so it's more valuable. You don't get to choose an evolution or anything. A little bit more time to ramp up. So again, it does give more damage, more true damage, more scaling there, but still weaker early. And I think Emphas feeling the effects of that, as Kissei has been able to just kind of get through lane. And look how many things have hit so far. It's an even trade from one Akali Q.
I was going to say he's going to try and scatter the weak, but Kissei is by no means weak at this stage very early on. Second Dragon was successfully claimed there, so it's an Infernal Drake to their name. And we have a Cloud Soul to play for as the Rift transforms.
So one big thing, right? Like, why Varus into Lucian Nami? You're so long range, you're going to be able to clear waves no matter how much pressure they have. And it usually is a very pressure-focused and filled lane. because Illusion Nami tends to have teams playing towards it, junglers pathing towards it, pressuring their side of the map. Well, Varus nullifies it by simply not interacting, right? It is extremely annoying to deal with, and that's why you often see it as a lethality build, because you get to go for the tier. You have the Manamune stay in lanes longer and stay healthy for longer by just playing from those ranges.
He's opted for a cheap item spike there, going for the Yomi's Ghostblade. Typically see the Eclipse be the option as a Mythic Rush, if you will. You certainly do need that Tears to sustain yourself, otherwise you will be running dry very early on. Flag drag into an instant Cataclysm there, Nature's Grasp across the wall. Gooby actually going to flash on in to try and hit with Twisted Advance, and she steals the kill as well. Fantastic.
Very well done, actually, though, from Ground Zero, because keep in mind, when the dust settles in that fight, Emphas never flashed. It's still available. You know, one of the biggest reasons that you throw that Jarvan ult is to at least get the reaction flash. But because they're poised and ready, the counter was immediately there from Gooby with the Twisted Advance. He stands and delivers damage instead, and they just wipe Babip off the face of the earth. You know, 10 seconds from Flash being available himself at the time he died.
That just,
very
to me,
well done.
Screams confidence and good communication. I'm here, I'm backing you up, you can win this. We win this, take the 2v2, and that they did, certainly. Babip still has his own flash. I think stunned by the fact that nothing happened.
Just off having it available, so it was like 5 seconds off being up by the time that he died. So wasn't able to get himself out to safety there. But yeah, for me, that is confidence, right? That's knowing limits. It's being able to play to those limits and not making any mistakes. You know, some people, if you're nervous, maybe you just freak out and flash there to be safe, even though you know you're getting a counter gang.
Certainly what you love to see. It's a promising sign, to say the least, given they are up against some heavy hitters in the league here right now.
Also the first time we see Emphas not playing Karma. This is his second game. Does love AP Mages. First game was a Radiant Virtue Karma in a losing game, so extremely quiet. Didn't get to see much from him. This time around, has got the Syndra, right? Has got the capabilities to do some really big damage in team fights. It's Gooby that has to be more of a support, I think fair to say. I say more of a support. He's rushed Demonic Embrace. He's not a support, he's a pest.
Yeah, he's going to be an absolute menace with these seedlings that he's going to continue to fling off on cooldown. Fairly short cooldown at just that. Acts as a pseudo ward as well.
Yeah, it does so much for vision in a game where you can't place wards. If you're afraid that they're going to be in that bush, Varus Q, Maokai saplings.
Yep.
Now you've got two tools to check that. If the Varus Q connects, either an audio Q or a comet comes out, right, so you have confirmation. Maokai finds them, a sapling runs them down until they're not in the bush anymore. But still, does that mean that Ground Zero can fight with the information they have? Most likely not. Yet, they are in the area, because do they have much of a choice, Skimmy?
Yeah, well they do know. They've got vision on either side of that Herald. And we're wrangling some form of control of that mid lane wave.
They're poised for it.
Chief's going to take this one out, and now's all the case of trying to deny this one. Dominus flash engaged once again, sliced and diced, didn't find the target, locked them in place with the Maokai so far, but the culling to the face, and Emphasis dead. The ult was burnt, the flash was used, but it did absolutely nothing. In jumps Kisei! Look at that! It's gymnastics! He's knocking them all up, he's stunned, he's dashing! What was that? We're running it back like it's 2022 playoffs all over again. This guy just continues to dazzle me.
Tron comes in with the taxi service for Kisei and a triple kill there for Ron. 5-1. He says thank you very much for the ride and finds the perfect team fight positioning. BioPanther, no hesitation, knows exactly how to play these fights out, sees them just get a little bit too close, just a little bit too close from Emphas. And with zero hesitation, the flash comes in, stuns him down, slices, dices into the team. And an exceptional start to the team fight. That's with a culling just to secure that first kill.
All the way from bot lane!
Yeah, follows the teleport all the way from bot lane. Gets into the mix, and it's the Q and R1 that follow through here as well. Insane damage, and then an R2 through all of them.
That may just be the perfect execution.
It certainly is, and there's more than one person on the Chief slicing and dicing, it feels like. Poor Ground Zero. They've just found out the Teamfight Kings are still here back-to-back days.
It really is a thing of beauty. And from objective to objective we go. And now the snowball begins the mid-game. Looking to try and now belong to the Chiefs in a similar situation. Instant summon of the Herald. Guarantee another outer goes their way. And guarantee to put themselves on a very early soul point.
The 4,000 odd gold is not insurmountable by any means, but with 3 Drakes in hand, right, with the Baron buff, etc., that can be starting to be pressured as time passes. It gets harder and harder. Dante has discovered Lucian Nami once again. I think that's... Look, it's just one of those situations. That's one of the risks. You play Varus, we discussed why. It's because you can outrange. You can't outrange Dash Gale Force with a Nami E on top of you. Even if you throw out that ultimate, they're still right there dealing damage.
Ever so annoying to deal with, and here could be another bit of a pest in the bot lane as the bruisers go at it. Kisese is a bruiser, but he's certainly a mage. Also disengage away there with the Proto Belt, as he received a lot of attention from a roaming gank squad of Ground Zero.
I think there's groundwork there from Ground Zero. I hate that that's the word that I came up with, ground for ground. They have got the makings of smart plays,
yeah,
but their execution and timing is wrong. Right? And that's something that the Chiefs are not going to mess up. And I think we start to see with more time passing, with the VOD reviews, with cohesion to be seen from the team, that they can get to a point. But so far, early leads start to get pushed away.
No TP here from Bio to try and assist him. Kiss him might just say, you're not going to gank me, I'm just going to kill you. Instead, just jumps into Tron's face and say, why would you even pretend to go for that fight? Protobelt's off cooldown, so that's used again, and then you're not running away. A flash when there's the Cataclysm to follow you. I'm going to walk out of that one, and now you're going to get knocked up, and then you're going to get shurikened right on down. It is literally unstoppable.
Yeah, Gooby knows there's no way out. The thumb comes up, he's stuck in a Cataclysm, and before the tidal wave hits, the walls come down to give space for the rest of the Chiefs boys to come through. They'll get the kills bottom. Babip does get it cancelled or a failed flag drag there, but it's not like he's taking damage. Just too weak, unfortunately, is the Ground Zero side. Bulldog not really active with Gooby is certainly an important note to highlight here. Doesn't feel like they've been working as a jungle support duo by any means. Feels like it's been Gooby and Emphas. And it feels like Dante and Bulldog are a separate team. If I was to put it simply, it feels like we are looking at 3 separate teams playing the game right now. The top laner, a mid jungle, and a bot duo.
Yeah, we've been unable to really see Tron unlock to try and group up with the team to either isolate out a member or try and give them a winning opportunity. We'll see what it all starts once again with Dante just caught on mid-wave.
I mean, he's just dead. It's a very sad replay.
Yeah.
That's twice in a row for Dante that he's just found himself at the whim of Chiefs, of Illusion, dashing in his face. Knows he can't win the 1v1.
Strong with and strong without the Nami. Hyper accelerated at this point of the game at 6-1.
Tron's only choice here is a big ultimate over a wall if he wants to survive.
He goes for his W first of all, makes himself unstoppable. We're looking for the angle. Who's he going to ult? Where's he going to go? Because he's got 4 members staring right at him, all vying for the ultimate prize off that killing blow. It's going to be Kiss that claims it to give himself his 8th of the day. And Gooby, well, really all he can do is say, yep, they're on the Baron.
It just feels like, again, a disheveled gameplay from now on for Ground Zero. They lost momentum, they lost control, they lost tempo in this game. And that just gets pushed and accelerated further and further out of their hands. Kisei just stares them all down and says, come at me. We'll stand and deliver damage. They'll get a tower, they'll get a bounty skimmy, but the cost, far too great.
That's a massive cost. The consequence is high. Certainly, Baron picked up at the 21-minute mark. Back to base they go. Buy up, shop up, get yourself as strong as you can be, because there's a sole point now to play for as well in just over 60 seconds.
Expecting to see a pretty clean reset here from the Chiefs. They don't necessarily need to deploy to 3 lanes when the Drake's about to be up, so they'll clear their way through bottom. The Drake is a soul. Ground Zero want to put some efforts towards it for sure. They're looking at maybe being cheeky mid here. That could work. They've found Babip, however, on engage.
Going to dash into that one, actually. It's going to be Aladoric that blocks it through his AD carry. In goes Babip once again, hits them with a smite. 2-man Cataclysm, locks them all up. In comes the TP. There goes Kisei, jumps in, gets stunned, goes for a haul. Inside the Shroud, it's going to be Raze that picks up 2 so far. In they jump once more, looking for the action, looking for the shield, and looking for that lovely execution. We're really hoping for the ace. And an ace is what we'll find. The gold divide is a little bit too much at this point in time.
Absolutely, yeah. Blazing scoreline here. The Chiefs with the kills should just be able to push through, get some inhibitors. If not more, but this is similar to yesterday, and it's becoming a recurring trend so far in the LCO. They're so far ahead so early that that team fight at 30 minutes is GG, but at 20 minutes, the respawn timers are too low. So they're looking at an inhibitor, maybe a second one, and a soul point to go back to at any point if they would like. So they choose to play this out because they're so fed, they don't need to reset after that team fight. they can still stay. They can still go back to the Drake. And it's not like Ground Zero can contest them.
No, what a safe option would be to disengage away to pick that one, but if you're really aggressively feeling yourself, there's no
Unless-
vision, you just say, what are you doing? You're not allowed to step up here. Unfortunately, this Tron, who is going to be fairly durable, and unable to fall victim to that 5-man surprise party.
One ward is all that Ground Zero have. You can see that ward right now. Biopanther dashes over the wall, so they know exactly where they are. That means everyone but Kisei is revealed they'd feel more safe, in theory, to walk towards a Drake. In reality, no. No. Run away. Let it go. 12k goal difference. We'll see this skirmish one more time. I think they reassess. A tragedy of timing. Gooby wasn't even looking at his screen. He was looking at Raze and Alidoric. Stopwatch comes through, and any chances they thought they had of killing Babip disappear. And again, no damage from this Syndra. Kisei unrelenting. Truly a weapon, a force of nature in the LCO 2 games in.
And Bio just followed Dante, flashes across the wall just to meet somebody else instead that picks up the killing blows. So it really is a very hard time to try and exist in this game if you are Ground Zero. It doesn't really get much better because they're going to really just run this fight back again. Another fight, another situation where Kisei wants to do it all on his own. He's going to jump underneath that turret. He's got the Zonius, thankfully for him, so he's going to buy some time. Actually, it was a stopwatch, but still, the stasis effect does its job. Alidoric with a clutch heal. Soaks up the stun from Syndra as well. And he is a cat with 9 lives. He just doesn't fall over.
Really hunting for those kills, threatening, not letting Emphas or Bulldog recall walk the long road. But the Nexus is under attack and is threatened by the Chiefs.
That it certainly is. 2 games and 2 quick victories. Once again, looking at 25 minutes on the timer. And they want to try and farm you right inside your fountain. There's a Cataclysm. You can't even get the HP regen back. It's a back-to-back ace. It's a turret in absolute ruins and a base that has now been destroyed.
And I feel like it is fair to say another statement game by the Chiefs. I think at this point, there's a couple of things that come to mind. That is, one, we have 2 very strong contenders in Pensinet and the Chiefs with what we've seen from them in week number 1 of the LCO. But 2, I am more excited for our 3rd game tonight to see what the other contenders, in theory, can provide Direwolves and Bliss when they come up in our match of the week. But first and foremost, Chiefs, just a little bit too clean again.
A little bit too clean, a little bit too good, but bloody entertaining.
Definitely entertaining. That's a good word for it. Pretty close at the start, though. GZ were actually up in gold for a little bit, and then it sort of started to go downhill. But you could see Chiefs, they just knew what they were doing. They knew exactly how to get that lead and maintain it. And then, look, Drakes as well. Every time there was one of these fights, there was always a dragon up, and off the back of it, GZ could never really contest. So it just made Soul Point looking pretty bloody easy towards the end.
Yeah, Rossi said that the Varus is a very good wave clear option up against the Lucian and Nami. However, in that specific game, we did have the Jarvan end appear for the 2nd time of split 1, I guess. And it worked really well because you are an immobile ADC with the Lulu, with the Syndra, both very immobile as well, following alongside you. So this Jarvan, Akali, and Renekton were just on their faces 24/7, and Dante overstepping in a lot of those instances where he had a 2-0 start, but by the end, he was more than just 4 deaths.
The other thing I noticed as well, Rusty, was that you were very much throwing in some Aussie Open references, saying, you know, love 30 and stuff, and that was in relation to Gooby and his ability to stand on those stealth wards. Happened many times throughout the game. He was just sitting there on vision for a very long time, so maybe that's something that they can take back to the drawing board. Either
He's
way,
going to have a sad time VOD reviewing.
yeah,
He is.
100%. But look, Maokai, first time seeing him competitively here in the LCO because he didn't get banned finally, and it looked pretty good until it didn't look pretty good when he was already snowballed out of the game. So, you know, props to Gooby for having a crack, showing us what it's made of. Tron as well, 2 relatively rough games up in the top lane. Feels like he's not having a huge amount of influence. You know, did all right yesterday against Chippies, but then got drawn a new one from Bio today.
So a couple of things for me for Ground Zero is this isn't one of those weeks where, like, yes, it's 0-2 and it's a really rough start for them to the season. It might feel bad for the players, but I think in reality, I've seen enough positivity from their early game to see how they can actually build on this team and develop. I just didn't expect them to start strong. Their week 1 was Pensinet Chiefs, man. Like, you just have to hold the L with as much grace as you possibly can. They come into week 2 to start really proving yourself. And I think the players are individually strong enough. It's just becoming a team.
And I want to highlight more about this Maokai pick because we haven't really seen it in OC. However, it is a picker ban in the other regions, and there's a good reason to it because most Maokais prefer to take the first strike rune, and they also built the demonic embrace as the first item. Where looking at the damage graphs, we have Gooby topping the charts even over the Syndra, and there's also a very good reasoning behind that. So I want to see more Maokai, although teams have been banning it.
The other thing I want to talk about as well is how short these games have been so far.
Yeah.
Every game sub 30.
Yeah.
I'm not hating it. I do like the faster games, but it means that there's less league to watch every night, but more space for us to at least talk about the games. So I'm keen to see when some of these expected top of the table teams get to play each other, which is coming up shortly in that match of the week. But for now, we still have one handsome, familiar face to have a quick chat to. That, of course, is Alidoric. How you feeling after 2 dubs in the opening week of the LCO for 2023?
Feeling pretty good. I feel like our practice has gone extremely well, so it's just showing on stage now, pretty much.
That's great
Feeling
to
good.
hear. And Alidoric, of course, we had a bit of, I guess, misunderstanding on Twitter earlier, but I am very happy to see you back in the league because you're #1 support in LCO and always in my heart. So what are your thoughts on
Thank
the
you.
support meta so far? We've seen a lot of crazy picks down there.
I think it's pretty diverse right now. It's like a lot of stuff you can pick, like Ashe, Heimerdinger, Jhin, stuff like that. It's pretty fun to have like a change from like just the classic melee supports as well, even though that's like my strength. But I think it's a pretty good meta right now.
What are your thoughts on Kisei and Bio, the new 2 getting added to the roster? Of course, Babbitt was there as the coach, but you've played with him for a fair while now, right?
They fit in really well. Like everyone gets along very well. It's very easy to talk, very easy to play together. No issues at all. So it's been very smooth so far.
We also saw a lot of, let's say, exciting gameplay from Kisei, especially with his debut on the Kassadin from yesterday. Now the Akali eating in from across the map and getting a triple kill. I'm sure Ron is very, very happy. So do you have any words of encouragement for Ron for such a stellar performance in week 1?
No words of encouragement. That kid has too big of an ego right now anyway. So he needs to tone the ego down if anything.
Beautiful. And you heard it straight from the horse's mouth. Alidoric, we'll let you go. Enjoy your
Thanks,
wins
mate.
for the week, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week, guys. Bye-bye.
Big W coming through for the Chiefs. And it is true. Kisei, ego. Huge. It's huge. So glad someone's bringing him down a little bit.
If you play that well, though, you might as well have one. If you keep it up like that, I respect it.
Are you
Look,
giving
if
him
it allows
permission? You
you-
reckon the rest of the Chiefs are not listening to this saying, shut up?
No, I want it. I like a player with an ego if they can back it.
You don't have to talk
I
to
think
him
it's funny.
6 days a week.
Oh, sure. I'm sure we'd match energies really well.
But look, he had another stunner of a game, but was it good enough to get the Dare MVP for game number 2 of the day?
I want to say yes, but I also want to show a lot of
anymore.
credit to Bio. I feel like Bio...
Not anymore.
Bio was pretty good. He was always
Yeah.
just like, I'm keen to engage. I'm going to start things off. Like, if you feel like you're stepping up to the play and trying to turn this one around, then it's going to be completely nullified. I think you put a lot of pressure in the right places. And look, I could just say Kisei 2 days in a row, but maybe you want to share the love around.
Kisei is definitely a front runner on the Akali once again, but for a specific team fight, I believe it was around the Herald Pit, Renekton's flash was just such an perfect engage onto, I believe it was Emphas on the Syndra, where it completely just won them the entire fight. And I just think Biopanther, he does so many micro details in terms of mechanics, it goes unnoticed, but once you play with him, you're like, oh my god, this guy is so good. We don't give him enough credit.
Yeah, for real, on God. And then he'll...
On Gromp.
On
On
Gromp,
Gromp?
and then he'll
On Gromp,
tell you
right.
his mobile number. That's like the way that Bio
Ah,
operates.
yes, the
So
mobile
should
number
we give
means-
him the
Yeah,
Dare
let's
MVP?
give it to Bio.
Yeah, Bio,
Yeah.
big man up top. Congratulations, you are going to be the Dare MVP for
There he is.
day number 2. Look at him, he's looking real handsome in a Chiefs jersey.
Big
isn't
Bio
he?
daddy.
2-0-12, decent KP, decent damage share, but impact, you can't put a number on that, can you?
No, you cannot put a definitive number on the impact that he has. And I want to echo what Kitty said as well, because Biopanther is like a 1%er type player. He does those little details consistently better than most other top laners at all times, that it starts to really boil over and mean a big difference for things like team fights, recognizing angles, setup, planning, and communication.
It's kind of weird.
Seeing him as a chief,
No,
because that's weird.
me. I was just talking about myself for a little
Oh,
bit
okay.
because I just wanted some glory. Before we get to the match of the week, and that's coming up just after the break. Team Bliss, Direwolves. Who's going to take home all the bacon? Find out just after this.
She's going to take this one out, and now it's all location trying to deny this one. Dominus Flash engaged once again. Slice and Dice didn't find their target, locked them in place with the Maokai so far, but a culling to the face, and Infus is dead. The ult was burnt, the Flash was used, but did absolutely nothing. In jumps Kissei! Look at that! It's gymnastics! He's knocking them all up, he's stunned, he's dashing! What was that? We're running it back like it's 2022 playoffs all over again.